Welcome into Huskies All Access. We have a special edition here, Coach's Corner, as we're with first-year head coach Laura Valentino of the UConn Softball team. Laura, thanks for joining us. How have you been doing? How have you been staying busy here the last few weeks?
Oh, thanks for having me. Definitely the past few weeks have been an adjustment for all of us, but I'm just very blessed and thankful that everyone that I know firsthand is healthy and just trying to stay connected with the people that mean the most to me, my family, my closest friends, and obviously still trying to be a great leader for our program and stay connected with our team.
Obviously had a history as an assistant coach before becoming the head coach here at UConn. What were those first months like, fall ball, and then ultimately getting those first 4 weeks of the regular season?
Yes, the first 4 weeks as a head coach, honestly, there were some days that I would just sit back and be in awe. I would say to myself, wow, this is my team. And I achieved one of my goals as a coach, which was to be a head coach in the Northeast. And it was just almost like an aha moment of just being so grateful of the people that I've been surrounded by, my past jobs, all the mentors in my life. And I've just been very, very lucky. And I would say it was just in terms of the team, the focus was to grow the culture of the program. That was at the forefront for the first 4 weeks, letting the girls know who we are, what we're about, what our philosophy is, and our coaching style. So getting to know them and really building that foundation so that we can move forward.
Talk a little bit about that transition to a culture, obviously kind of building what you think of as your program. It's not going to be all peaks. There's going to be some valleys in there. So talk a little bit about that progress here through, you're not even through year one yet.
Sure. So I think the big thing in establishing a new culture coming into a new program is communicating what is important to you as a coach to your players, and communicating those values in a clear way and direct way so that they know what the expectation is and what we are going to be demanding of them moving forward. So I tried to be really clear with and really authentic with who I was as a coach. And like you said, peaks and valleys come. So you communicate those expectations, and then you're bound to get some pushback, right? Change is hard for everybody, coaches, players, everyone involved. So those peaks and valleys definitely came from, me holding them to a high standard. I told the team in the first meeting that they're going to work harder than they ever have before. And that's challenging. Hard work is hard work, and you're going to have to sacrifice and be uncomfortable. So I think that pushback came from a little bit of feeling uncomfortable, right? The change, the feeling of the unknown and being vulnerable. There's this big, gray cloud over vulnerability. It's scary, right? So we got some pushback with that in terms of pushing the team a little bit harder than they ever have before. But overall, I think the connection that we built with them and the relationships that we had and caring about them as people is what helped us get through those valleys and those tough times.
So you eventually get into the season. You guys, a great start, 15-6. I know it's got to be super frustrating to have kind of your season halted as you guys were playing so well. You just beat your alma mater, Hofstra, riding a 3-game winning streak going into that. So kind of just take me through the feelings as the season was kind of abruptly halted before you guys were going to go down to St. John's.
Sure. So I'll take you through a little bit of the season. So we open up first weekend at Florida Gulf Coast, finished the weekend 3-2, and we beat Florida Gulf Coast for the first time in program history, which was a huge win for us. We beat Boston College in extra innings, and it was really neat as a coaching staff just getting a glimpse of the fight of the team. They had verbalized to me that they really struggled in those one-run games, extra inning games, and for us to come out on top, especially against Boston College, big rival, was really, really exciting for the program. And then we started a little something called Championship Sunday. It's funny because we actually don't play our championships on Sunday, but for some reason I call it Championship Sunday. And, we were going into that Sunday game 2-2. And I told the team, I said, hey, this is Championship Sunday because everybody's played 4 games, everybody's tired. Who's going to be the toughest and who's going to be able to come out on top and perform? We want to leave here 3-2. And they stuck it to me. They definitely showed me that they weren't ready to go home with a losing record. So that was exciting. First weekend out. Obviously, second weekend we go down to Florida again, and the team goes 5-0. I mean, how awesome! What a feeling! I would say that was definitely a turning point for the team. They had this camaraderie, like, wow, we can actually do something this year, and that's the rewarding part as a coach. You know, you see that confidence from them, you see that excitement that they're ready to get after something this year. So that was really, really neat. You know, and then obviously the other highlight for the season was JMU. So going down to JMU and loved that tournament because it was tournament style. So we're playing again to win the weekend. We go into championship Sunday again, and we beat Cal, who was the only team that we had lost to during that weekend. And to beat a top team, a tough team like JMU twice, my cheeks were hurting that weekend because I was smiling so much, and we were scoring so many runs. I mean, it was so neat for them to get that confidence and that boost after that weekend. And you know, as we were about to transition into conference play, I think the team was excited to prove people wrong, right? We come into the year, new coaching staff. Obviously, the team you know, was middle of the pack in the American last year. And then we come into this year and people didn't believe that we could do anything, right? So the team was motivated to empty the tank. That was our phrase this year, and also to prove people wrong. So we had a prove them wrong challenge every week, and they were excited to get after it in conference play. So we were definitely on a high note when our season got cut short after Hofstra. But my message to them in our end of the year meeting was that they really were able to build a solid foundation, and they should be so proud of what they accomplished in this short amount of time. It was the best start for us in a long time, and that's something that we want to continue moving forward. They instilled the foundation of the core values of the program, and they should be really proud that they left their mark on UConn softball.
Can you talk a little bit about, you know, you talk about bringing those players back with the eligibility relief that you guys are going to be able to get, as well as the other spring sports. What does it look like in terms of, you know, your classes, your seniors? Do you know who will be able to come back at this point?
Yes. So actually today, the entire team will be finding out. But Devin Casaza, who saw a lot of time behind the plate, will be the only senior that will be returning for us. We're excited to have her back. And my message to the team, you know, we've been starting to talk about this moving forward, is that in year 2, the bar gets raised, right? Raise the bar. The expectations are higher. You thought you worked hard in year 1, but year 2 is going to be tougher. And we're about to move into a new conference and leave our mark on that conference. We're really excited about that, and obviously excited to have a 5th-year senior come back for us and bring some leadership to the program.
Yeah, you hit on it. New conference, the Big East. What can you tell us about the Big East Conference in softball, and how do you guys stack up as you get back there?
Sure. So being a Northeast player, you know, growing up, I remember playing not only UConn at Hofstra, but I mean, I've seen Pat Conlin. I've looked up to her as a mentor, Georgetown coach. Seton Hall, that was a position I interviewed at as an assistant. Bridget over at Villanova used to be at Fordham, so that was a huge rivalry with Hofstra Fordham. So a lot of familiar faces for me coming back to the Big East, which makes me really excited. I mean, it's great to come into a conference where you know a lot of the people, but it's also exciting to compete against some of your closest colleagues. That's the exciting part about it, and I'm excited for the program because it brings back some really great rivalries, right? We're going to be traveling regionally, really building up those rivalries again in the Northeast, and we're excited to leave our mark on the conference early on in this first year.
Let's look at your team, kind of in-depth look, starting with your pitching. You guys are top 30 nationally in ERA, second in the American. Obviously, Mary Beth Olson, an All-American candidate. What was it, 9.4 strikeouts per 7 innings? I mean, she was amazing for you guys. What makes her so good? And also just touch on your other pitchers as well that are able to get the job done this season.
Sure. So what makes Mary Beth so special is, number one, her competitive presence. So not many people know this about Mary Beth, but she goes out on the mound and sometimes she'll literally be talking to herself in between batters, and she's saying, there's no way you're going to get a hit off of me. And she has that edge that every coach loves to coach, that fearlessness of going out on the mound and refusing to lose. The second thing that makes her unique is she's so selfless. She puts the team first. She's willing to do whatever it takes to be a champion for the team. And that's a great quality that we want out of all of our players. Again, credit to our pitching staff. I mean, couldn't do it without them. And obviously our pitching coaches, Coach Jay and PR, doing a great job with the rest of the staff. Katie coached us her senior year. She had a lot of strikeouts, and she really developed an off-speed pitch, which was a factor for her this year and really helped our program. And then you had two freshmen, Emily Sappington and Megan O'Neill. And obviously Megan's seeing a lot of time this year as a freshman, and she really had a strong freshman year. Another bulldog, and what makes Megan unique is her work ethic. Probably one of the hardest working kids I've ever coached. You ask her to do something and she's going to go above and beyond of what you asked. So we're really excited about her future here at UConn and her contributions to our program.
Offensively, you guys were putting up runs over right around 6.5 runs per game, was 22nd in the country at the time. You had 5 players hitting 270 or better, and we know Reese down at 246 was going to be higher than that as the season continued. So just talk a little bit about your offense and what you saw from them.
Sure. Our offense was exciting. Like I said, I mean, I was wheeling my arm around a lot over there at third base. And, I tell the team all the time, hitting's contagious, right? So they had this energy, and all it took was one person in our lineup, and we had a goal every game to be on to the next one. And what that meant to our offense was get the starting pitcher out of there and get somebody new in there. And they really bought into that. They bought into making adjustments from at bat to at bat, and they just fed off of each other, right? So there was that contagious energy, that confidence. I mean, standing down at the third base box and seeing the presence that they had when they stepped in the batter's box, you just get that feeling as a coach, like, this kid's going to get it done in this moment. And I had a lot of those feelings about our offense this year. And I think overall, philosophy wise, we just focused a lot on the little things at practice. So having quality at bats with runners in scoring position, moving runners, obviously stealing bases, was definitely a goal of ours. We were trying to break the program record, which was 55. We were definitely on pace for that. So we loved putting pressure on the defense, and it really showed up. What we practiced showed up for us, and it's a credit to the kids that they bought in and they were able to execute.
Who would you say are some of the biggest surprises from either when you first stepped on campus and saw your squad, or even from that end of fall ball, individual work during winter break to the start of the season?
Joan, just ask that question again because I didn't hear the front of it.
biggest surprise that you'd say in terms of your team?
Ooh, biggest surprise. I would say biggest surprise, I'm going to give you two players. One is Ashley Dahman, senior outfielder. She, that outfield spot, there was 2 outfield spots up for grabs going into the starting first opening weekend, and kept giving different kids opportunities, and she took advantage. I remember Florida Gulf Coast coming up, hitting a clutch double, and she really earned that spot. And not only her performance on the field, but she surprised me from a leadership standpoint. She was a great piece to the puzzle of growing the culture of our program. She was responsible, she was disciplined, and she was a great voice in the locker room for us. So I was really proud of her for that. And then the other surprise too was freshman Callie Jolly. I know that, we talk about roles, and something that makes a championship team great is everybody accepting their role. And what a kid. I mean, the kid comes in, tries out. So nerve-wracking, right? You're trying out for a team. She makes the team. We ask her to turn around, hit lefty. Okay, she doesn't hit lefty, and base run for us, right? So, I mean, Joan, she comes into every practice and she's stealing bases, she's delay stealing, she's putting bunts down. Just really, really grew as a player. And like I said, just loved coaching a kid like that, would do anything you asked. And she definitely surprised me. She was definitely in every game, first person off the bench, and she knew that the steal sign was coming. So I was really excited for her.
And it becomes contagious too, where her teammates see that and they kind of emulate that as well.
Yes.
So exciting next year with not only your new field that they're working on right now, but the performance center. How much is that going to be a game changer for you guys, not only for your team, but for recruiting as well?
Sure. The game changer for us in the new facility and the performance center is we are so grateful that this is going to be something provided for us moving forward. And we're grateful. Obviously, the recruiting piece, right? I'll be honest with you. I'm not a shiny bells and whistles type coach. So it's honestly, it's the last thing that we talk about in recruiting visits, right? Because it's more about, buying into the coaching staff and the team. And then we talk about, that gift or that grateful piece of being able to play in such an amazing facility moving forward. So that's definitely going to help us recruiting wise. Obviously with that, they walk into the office and they see the drawing on my wall, and it's exciting for recruits, but also something that we've brought up to our team is we're trying to make so many alumni proud, and it's all about giving back to those that have paved the path before us. We did a history lesson this year on the history of our program, and not many people know, but UConn Softball went to the World Series in 1993. Really was a powerhouse in the Northeast, and we want to make alumni proud to come back to a beautiful home that they built for us. So I think that's really been the focus for our team and our staff, and we're really trying to rally the alumni family around the stadium and making it something that they're proud to come back to.
Obviously, it's a crazy time and trying to keep in touch with all your players and staff. What have you guys been doing in order to keep up with those players?
Sure. So we check in with our players at least once a week. We've continued captains meetings, leadership council meetings. We've also conducted our typical end of the year meetings, which we get a lot of feedback from the players on what they've learned and feedback moving forward. And I think the biggest takeaway that we've received as a coaching staff is, the team doesn't want to take anything for granted, right? The entire college athletics fields, everybody had an opportunity taken away from them. And my challenge has been to them is, how are you going to show that you are not taking one day for granted, right? Because we go into every day as athletes and coaches and saying, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to give it 100%. And a lot of them say, well, that's how I'm not going to take anything for granted. But you do that on a normal basis, right? So how is that going to look different? How are you going to show me that you're taking full advantage of this opportunity and learning the true lesson that we've learned here in the past 2 months? So we've really challenged the team. We're continuing to try to grow the culture of our program and connect with each other, right? We're obviously stuck in a situation that we are, and I've encouraged them to figure out what kind of people they are, go back to their values, and make sure you reach out to those that you're grateful for. So that's kind of how we've been connecting and keeping in touch lately.
No, that's great. And hey, we really appreciate the time. Thanks for hopping on with us. And hey, stay safe. Hope your family's doing well. And hey, we hope we see you back on the field sooner rather than later. All right, Laura?
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time.